Hello and welcome back to the Natural Wellness Tips podcast. This is your host, Dr. Jennifer Shaw. Today I have an amazing guest, Tracie Osborne, with me. We are going to be diving into what Tracie calls the inner bitch. It's going to be a super fun conversation. Tracie and I have known each other for a couple months now. We've been going back and forth and chatting about business growth and evolution and just helping empower women. And I'm really excited to have this conversation with you guys. So Tracie guides conscious women on their self-healing and self-awakening journey so they get back into alignment with their natural selves. She helps them heal and awaken by nurturing their mind, body, and soul with consciousness, mindset, and emotional intelligence. And she holds a life coaching certification with a specialty in mindfulness, which you guys will get to experience when you follow along with Tracie's journey. She's all about meditation, and her and her 4 boys, they live in Brooklyn. She posts some awesome videos and pictures of them meditating and doing that mindfulness practice stuff as a family. So it's pretty rad. Great example of how to raise empowered children. I love it, Tracie. But welcome to the podcast.
Oh, and thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction. Yes, and it has been great. Getting to know you, Jen, like totally awesome. Your energy is so rad, and I love your podcast. Also a listener.
Thank you, Tracie. I appreciate that. It is fun having guests on that have, dove in and actually listened to some of the episodes. And because I do feel like there's a better cohesiveness a lot of times when we do the interviews. So I just love that. So thank you so much. It's a wonderful part of having you, a wonderful thing having you part of my community. So Tracie, let's just dive right into it. Before we even hear a little bit more about who you are and how you became this woman who empowers other women, I want to know, what's the inner bitch? Let's just get right to the chase and then we'll come back around to it. So what's the inner bitch?
So the inner bitch is I just characterize negative thoughts or the mind. I just gave it a name. Because about 20 years ago, I was depressed, had suicidal thoughts. I went days, probably months without eating, just in bed, just in a very dark space. And until one day I started to question myself. I was just like, nobody, like I'm sitting here actually with everything, right? I had just graduated from college. I had a brand new car that was given to me by my parents. I had a house that I was living in, that was given to me by my parents. I had everything. I had like, the American dream, quote unquote, but I was at the most darkest place of my life. And, I was like, my family supports me. They don't put me down. Like, where is this coming from? So one day I just decided to stand up to myself and look myself in the mirror. And I was like, bitch, like I just named my thoughts, bitch. I was just like, I'm going to figure you out and I'm going to understand the mind and thoughts. And once I do, I'm going to share it with the world. And I have been doing that for 20 years. And that was like my big pivotal moment when I just finally stood up to myself and looked in the mirror, because I couldn't even look in the mirror. So that just standing up to myself, that's when she was created.
I love it. I always kind of say this, what you say to yourself, would you ever say those things to your best friend? And oftentimes the answer is no, right? We're going to talk to our best friend. Yeah, I'm very blunt with my best friend. And we've been best friends for like 23 something years. And, but I also am kind and I hold space for her and I'm compassionate. Right. And then when I think about some of the things I've said to myself, and I've worked really hard to evolve those thoughts that I say in my own head, but God, we are so mean to ourselves. Right. And it's mind blowing. So tell me about that, because I know that we can all say like, I'm going to stop talking badly about myself to myself. Right. I'm going to stop these horrible thought patterns and things like that. And if only it was that easy to be like, I'm going to stop. Is this something like when you stood up in the mirror and you were really in that depressed state and we're trying to navigate that, like, what was it like? How long did it take you? Where are you on that journey? Like, kind of share a little bit for the people that are like, yeah. It's all nice to like say, I'm going to talk nice to myself, but it's not possible. I've tried, sort of thing.
Right. And that's the thing, right? Like it starts with the belief first. You have to believe that you are able to talk nice to yourself because I believe that that voice, it comes from somewhere. It comes from society, it comes from your culture, it comes from traumas, it comes from the past. So the reason why I characterize the inner bitch is that and that's why I'm so really instilled on nurturing yourself. And what I mean is nurture your mind, like nurture those thoughts. Because I always think about the quote of Martin Luther King, where he says, darkness can't put out darkness, only light can. So if you're being mean to yourself, you can't go and be aggressive to yourself as well. Like it's not going to work, right? And again, I'm not sitting here saying that talking mean to yourself is, it's going to go away. No, because we live in a world of duality. You're going to have negative thoughts and you're going to have positive thoughts, but it is getting consumed with those thoughts is when it becomes a problem. It's believing those thoughts when it becomes a problem. And that's why I like to teach about consciousness, because it's about being aware of it, right? And observing it, and don't attach to the thoughts. That makes the difference. Because for me, before I realized that I had these negative thoughts and that I was being like tranquilized or paralyzed by what I was thinking, that's because I was believing everything that I was saying. It wasn't until I said, you know what, I'm going to stop believing what you're saying, inner bitch. That's when my suffering was released. Like that's the big difference for me.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily stopping the thoughts, it's
Hmm.
stopping believing the
Hmm.
thoughts. One of the things that really helps me is when I have a repetitive negative thought, which let's just think about these statistics, right? So they say you have anywhere from 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day. It's a lot of thoughts. And they say on average, 98% of them are repetitive. And of those 98%, 80% of your thoughts are negative. So really we have a negative lean, like we are easier to lean into the negative, where we our brains are built to remember the bad over the good. It is the way we are. So we have to work to do this differently, right? And one of the things that helps me is when I have that negative thought, like one of the ones I used to have all the time is I'm not good with money. My ex-husband would tell me that all the time. You're not good with money, like in all different ways, shapes, or forms, right? And I would believe him. And when I really looked at it, I was like, wait a minute, I am good with money. And here's the proof of why I'm good with money, right? And I would tell myself the reasons as to why that negative thought is not true, right? And then I can reframe the thought and say, I am a powerful creator with money. And then it's not just like that thought's wrong, this thought's right, don't do that, do this. Because let's think back to like childhood. We never liked that, right? Like you're wrong, do it this way. That doesn't help. That doesn't evolve behavior. That doesn't move us forward in life, right? But if we can look at the negative thought and say, this is the negative thought, this is why it is not the truth, and this is the truth, this is the story I choose to believe, which is just so powerful. So what are some of the other techniques, Tracie, that you utilize with your clients when they're having a lot of these negative thoughts?
The same thing, like what you said, like inquiry. I use a lot of inquiry and a lot of questioning, right? Like to get to the root of where the thought is coming, right? Like just questioning. Because a lot of times, like you said, like that was a thought that your husband had and you attached it to your own, right? And a lot of times these thoughts are coming from outside of us, right? Mainly our caregivers, mainly culture. So it's, for me, it's just asking them inquiry based questions and asking them like, is that the truth? Can you tell me that that is true?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time when they really look at it, they can't, right? There's not even truth into what you were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about like, and then the biggest thing is like that awareness, that self-awareness, like being aware that you're doing it, right? Because it's like you get so accustomed to do it that it's automated, right? That's like how your heart pumps automatically, you breathe automatically, thoughts, negative thoughts just come automatically. Like you said, 80% of the thoughts are negative, right? But it's automated and you're on autopilot. but it's about getting out of that autopilot and getting into the driver's seat where you can really shift and operate in a space of being positive. But you have to set the intention, right? Like you can't just think, all right, I'm gonna think positive today. That's just one thought versus all the other thoughts that are
Only
going to
there's
attack you.
60,000.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have to really be mindful. That's why I'm big on mindfulness. Like you have to be aware of it. If you're not, you're just going to continue to have it. You got to like break that habit.
Are there any things that you have your clients do in the beginning to start training themselves to be mindful? Like, are there any things that you have them do when they're first starting this practice to like to find that awareness of the negative thoughts? You know what I'm saying?
Right. So the first thing I'll do is have them write a new set of beliefs for who they want to become.
Ah,
Right. And like set those rules and those guidelines because you have to already be the person, that future self. Right. You have to be that now, and you have to let go of the old version of yourself because right now, who you are, you're being operated by something of the past, right? Like your old thoughts. Because if you say a thought long enough, it will become your belief and then it will become your reality. But if you don't like your reality, then you're going to have to change your beliefs. You're going to have to change your belief system. So that's the first thing that I start. And then number two is that they have to believe, right? Because everything is in your belief. They have to believe that they can do it. Because if they don't, then it's not going to happen, right? I know what is his name? Confucius said, a person who feels they says they can and the person who feels they can't are both correct, right? So they have to build that belief system. And then number three, for the first week, I just have them practice self-awareness just to be aware of their thoughts and to write it down, just to get in that habit of just writing it down and not really to change anything, but just get in the habit of being aware of what they're thinking and writing down those negative thoughts that they're saying in journaling.
yeah, this is super powerful because what I'm hearing is it's not about saying today is the day I change, which is a failure, right? Technique. We're going to set ourselves up for failure when we do that. So when we look at it like, and I always say this to my members in my No BS Wellness and like anybody with like incorporating essential oils, like if all of a sudden you just think you're going to wave a magic wand and you're going to be perfect with this new habit. So let's say weight loss, you want to lose weight. Okay. So you're going to go from going to the gym 0 days a week to 7 days a week. And you're going to go from eating out 5 days a week to like never eating out again. That's not sustainable. That change is too drastic and your body is going to fight it. Your subconscious is going to fight it. Right. So I love that you take it through this idea of the desired outcome. My coach has it laid out in this manner and I love it. It's like, have the awareness, like you said, and it's very similar to what you do. It's like, have that awareness. What is happening? We don't need to change it. We don't need to do anything. We just need to figure out where the heck we are. And then know your desired destination, your desired outcome. Who do you want to be? And then from there, with that awareness and the desired destination of where you're going, you can start to look at the belief blockers, the negative thoughts, and then you can make a choice. And through, the work of journaling and writing things down and changing stories and reputing things in our mind that are negative beliefs and creating new beliefs, you can start to move from the current to the desired, but you have to have all those pieces. And I think that's really powerful in that the way that you evolve through this, because it can't be, I recognize that I speak mean to myself, so I'm going to stop. There's so much in between. If it was that easy, everybody would be nice to themselves, right?
Right.
We'd be walking around in a world where everyone smiled and was happy and there was no negativity because it was that easy. And it's just not that easy.
It's like that quote, it's easy, but not simple. I don't know if it's the other way around, simple, not easy, one of those ways.
I get what you're saying though. Like it's not a complex solution,
Mm-hmm.
but it isn't going to be the easiest thing to make it a reality.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you feel stuck? Life happens, a life circumstance comes up, and you catch yourself back in old patterning.
And the why. You gotta have a strong why. right? Like that's the foundation, is we always have to have a reason why for when life happens, right? You got to really go back to your drawing board and go to the why. Why are you doing this? What is the point of you doing this? Like for me, my why is I don't want nobody to suffer the way I did. And that always brings it out, and it, because it's not about me. Like I know how to do this, right? But I want to release other people from their suffering. So another big thing working with my clients is you have to have a strong sustainable why, and it can't be about money. That's not strong enough. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have that bigger vision, that impact you want to leave. And oftentimes, one of the things I find when I'm working with moms specifically, I'm not a mom yet. So one of the things I always find when I ask moms about their whys is instinctively, it's like all about their children and it's not about them. And that's something that I'm always like, okay, I get that that is a super strong why. But where do you play in that role? And I think when moms can take, what I've seen is when moms can take a step back and actually give them permission, give themselves permission to be a part of that why, is when it really sticks.
Exactly. Exactly. Because your kids grow older, and then a lot of times moms don't realize it. And that's why I'm big on nurturing her first, is because they get lost in their children. They don't even know who they are. They know everything about the child when they first crawled, when they first walked and all of these things. But if you ask them what do they want to do for fun, or what do they like to do? Oh, I like to watch my kids play basketball. That's not you, right? And
It's
in
an
that.
enjoyable activity,
Right.
but I ask you what you like. That's so true. So you have 4 beautiful boys,
Yeah.
and that, I mean, that is an incredible thing. So being a single mom of 4 beautiful boys and raising them to be independent, strong-willed, but kind men, how do you balance that with nurturing yourself?
I wake up before them. So every morning I wake up. Lately it's been 5 o'clock, and I don't have to wake them up until 8:30. So I give myself 3.5 hours, because I know that's the only part of my day that I can really control, especially now that, they're in school hybrid. So it's twice a week they go to school, and for the rest, they're home with me. Um, so I first thing I do before I even get out of my bed, I meditate for an hour. I do audio journaling. I go for a morning walk. I work out, and then I read a book that I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've talked about some really cool books. We've had some really awesome conversations. Recently, we both just read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, and that was just fascinating because it really concreted a lot of the conversations we've had about the inner bitch and this
Yeah.
inner negative thoughts and what is called in the book drifting, right? And like, so it's fascinating to fill your soul and nourish yourself, right? So uh when when you carve out that time, that's amazing. Right now, I bet you have some moms listening that have littler ones that, they can't quite get that much time away from, or they need to get a little more sleep or things like that. What was it like when they were younger? Because how old are your boys?
My youngest twins are 10 and my oldest is 16.
Yeah, so they're a lot more independent now, which is awesome. But still, they need mom and they need support, especially with hybrid school and all of that stress and things. But what was it like when they were younger, trying to find that time for yourself?
Yeah. When they're younger, it's a little tricky because you're revolved around that time, and especially when they're 100% grasping on you, like dependent on you. So for me, there's two types of self-care, right? Like there's that outward self-care when you're doing the things like getting your hair done, your nails done, and yada yada. But some people don't have time to do that, maybe not even have the funds or the resources to do it. So I feel that, there's also an internal self-care. And that internal self-care is being mindful of the thoughts, being mindful of how you talk to yourself can be more powerful than anything. And that doesn't take time out of your day, right? To just be mindful of what you're thinking, and to either, what I like to say, change the channel. Because if we're looking at TV, or we're looking for something to watch on TV, we're not going to sit there and watch something that we don't enjoy. So it's the same thing with your thoughts. Don't sit there and get lost and get trapped into something that doesn't make you feel good. Change the channel. Move on to something else, right? If it's something that you don't want to deal with right then and there. So that is a big part of self-care. And it doesn't take much time. It doesn't matter how old your kids is, if you're just mindful of what you're thinking, especially at that age, like, you start to say, I'm not a good mother because this happened. And it's like, no, be like, I did the best I can. And I know that I love my children, and I'm doing the best I can from what I know, right? And it's those things that parents who don't have those independent children, that may not have control of their time, they do have the time to be mindful of their thoughts.
Such a beautiful reminder. I love that. I love that. One of the things that's really helped me when I was in the thick of going through my divorce, and kind of a lot of the negative thoughts that came with that, was this saying, I'm doing the best with what I know now, and I did the best with what I knew then. I cannot judge what I did then on what I know now. And that's a really powerful thing. It's like when we start to do this work, the only thing that matters is this moment, and then the next moment, and then the next one, and then the next one. Not what you did yesterday, not what you did a week ago, not what you did 10 days ago, what you did 3 years ago. That's all it's all made up in our minds. Like, that's done. We don't need to do that. What we can control is right now. And in this moment, like you said, you can take a deep breath and you can change your conscious thoughts in this moment. And that's the true power of it, is like, no matter your circumstances, no matter like you get to choose right now how you feel about yourself, because everything in life is energy, and how we vibrate is what we attract, right? So, it's that same idea of what you said, like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're correct. It's like, if you think you are never going to be happy, you're correct. You're never going to be happy. If you think you're never going to attract abundance, you're correct. You're never going to attract abundance. If you think that money comes easy, money will come easy. You don't have to figure out the how, you just have to have the belief. If you think that you're never going to find a fulfilling relationship, you're correct. You're never going to. But if you believe that fulfillment comes from within, and that you're attracting fulfilling relationships all around with ease, and you just truly believe it, they're coming. They're coming. Right. And I think that's the shift that is really hard for people with those more logical brains like me to realize, is like, everything that goes on in this computer of our heads truly impacts and creates our outer world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't even need to add to that. Totally, it's like you're in my head, because I would have said it the same way.
I know you and I, that's what's been so fun about getting to know you, Tracie, is you and I have totally different lives. I don't have children. You have 4. Like, you live in New York. I live in and we just have so many parallels of how we think, and just the evolution of our thoughts and our emotional healing we've been through. It's so fun. I love these conversations. I could keep them going forever. As I always say, as I wrap up these podcasts, we'll have to do it again. It's just such a great conversation. I really, truly think this raw and honest conversation of what goes on in your head is going to impact a lot of the listeners and really help free them, like, give them those steps. So really, before I move into the rapid fire questions, I just want to bring it right back to, real quick, what you had said is, like, you guys have to know why you're doing this work and what is your desired outcome. And then you have to find awareness of what your beliefs are now and decide to change them. Then you do the work. But you can't do the work of changing your negative thoughts until you know who you want to become and why that's important to you, right? So I think that's a really powerful thing that you shared, Tracie, and I just really wanted to hammer that one in.
Yes.
So good. Okay, Tracie, here's my biggest question. What is your number one health and wellness tip for the listeners?
Be mindful of what you think and what you say.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I always think that the easiest way to practice mindfulness is to pause and take a deep breath. And if you still want to say what you were going to say before the deep breath, okay, but just take the deep breath.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, it's a powerful thing, isn't it? Okay, so a lot of times people think we're perfect because we're sitting here helping people evolve, but we are not. We are works in progress and we are working on ourselves each and every day. What is one healthy habit that you struggle with being consistent about?
Making up my bed.
Oh, did you know that's like a hot topic for me, making bed? I don't know if you knew that about me. But so funny story. We were on vacation and somebody had said something to my boyfriend, "You make your bed on vacation?" And he looked back at the person and said, "How do you expect to change the world if you don't make your bed?" And he was like dead serious. It was so cute because one of the things that we talked about when we first started dating, we like, do you want to have kids? Do you not? Like, what are your beliefs in this? What are your beliefs in that? And I was like, do you make your bed? And he was like, yeah, of course I make my bed. And I was like, okay. Like, something very important to me because I literally like every morning make my bed. So I love it. I'm going to motivate you to make your bed, Tracie.
Okay.
It's a win to start your day. Have you heard of the book, Make Your Bed? It's by a retired Navy SEAL. It's a really interesting book. It's a super short read. I bet the older boys would like to read it too. It's got a lot of good value in that. So I'll have to send you the info on it. Okay. I love talking about making your bed. And then my next question is, what are you most excited about in life right now?
I literally this morning just signed up for a program for Afro beats, teaching me how to dance. It's something about dancing that's so freeing, the energy. Because you've seen me, like I've been getting into yoga. It's just just the freedom to be able to dance, because I used to always tell myself, oh, you can't dance, until I remembered, like, wait a minute, I don't know how to dance because I don't practice. And I'm going to start practicing, and I can't wait to do little skits of me dancing.
Oh, Tracie, I'm so excited for you. We just talked about that like 2 weeks ago, that you were dancing a little more and like loving it. And I'm so proud of you. It's never too old to chase our dreams, or we are never too old to chase our dreams, right? So good for you. Okay, what is your all-time favorite book?
Ooh, I have a lot, but the one that comes to my mind is The Untethered Soul.
Oh, sister, it's so good. Oh, that has come up probably more than any other book on my podcast when I ask this question. And I avoided reading it for like over a year. And then I read it in 2020 and it is so
Yes.
good. So good. I love it. Okay, Tracie, people are going to want to follow you. They're going to want to connect with you. Where can they reach out?
Yes, so they can follow me on Instagram at Tracie with an IE, Osborne Speaks. And then you can go to my website at nurtureher.club.
Super cool, guys. So definitely go check out her Instagram, Tracie, Tracie, Osborne Speaks. And you can check out the website, like she said, nurtureher.club. That is her group community that she builds, the Nurture Her Club. And it's incredible, full with just amazing women that are looking to figure out what this means to actually take care of themselves. So if all this sounds great and you're like, awesome, I wish I could do it, but I don't know how, Tracie's your gal. So definitely connect with her. She drops such good value and motivation on her Instagram. And then if you guys are on Clubhouse, check her out too. She does daily meditations and weekly rooms in there that are awesome too. So Tracie, thank you so much for being on the show. It was such a fun conversation.
Yes, and thank you for having me. Definitely a fun. I always love talking about the inner bitch. I love telling everybody about her because she needs to be stopped.
We all have her. We all have
Yeah.
her. Well, amazing. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you. And listeners, until next time, namaste.